My name is Colin Duell. I'm a senior GIS specialist with the Transportation Planning Division. The mapping team for the state highway map started with 3 GIS professionals. Some of the roles that we had were data collection, symbolization, labeling, creating annotation of those labels, and then the final graphic design once the maps are completed. The process started in July of last year. We knew that we needed to have a complete map by the State Fair of this year, with Governor Kehoe having started his term in office. We release a new state highway map when a new governor comes in. So we knew that August of this year was going to be it. We needed to have it done. So we started the RFP process in the fall of last year. We started working with the Office of Administration to complete that bidding process. Meanwhile, we were working on data collection, cataloging, querying, making sure we had the right data on the map, and then could start moving those elements around to make them into a cohesive map. We started the project with the last edition of the state map as our basis. We were able to bring in the last software version's map project for the state highway map. We were able to bring it into our current version of the software, and were able to start using those data sets as a catalog for where we needed to start at. What data sets did we need to research? What did we need to download from multiple data sources, whether it was the USGS National Map or the Missouri Spatial Data Information System Data Clearinghouse. And then on top of that, how are we going to organize them in the map? How are we going to query the data so that we were visualizing the right data for our state map? So the most basic way we look at data types is line, polygon, and point files. Some examples of point files would be your cities and towns, your airports. Our road networks are our line data type. And then for polygon, you have anything from conservation areas to city polygons. The software, ArcGIS Pro, is designed by ESRI. The software package is very all-encompassing. So we have a lot of ArcGIS Online capabilities, but most importantly is the use of ArcGIS Pro, where we are able to combine all of these data sets and produce our finished map products. So this is the desktop application for ArcGIS Pro. Over here on the side, you'll see our table of contents. This is where we basically work with the catalog of data. We'll have all of our annotation is worked into the contents. And it works kind of like a layer process. So anything that's towards the bottom will be drawn on the bottom. So the further you get to the top, that'll be drawn on top of everything else. We have multiple tabs you can see here, which allows us to create multiple map layouts. This is especially useful for like the back of the map, where we have multiple city insets on the back of the map. So we can use one project for the entire state map. You can see that there is a lot of labels. on the screen. Each one of these, and we create annotation for each of our data layers. So if you see the road network, and you'll see Highway 13 here, Highway 5, 52. So those are actually annotation created per each layer. All of the individual annotation labels needed to be moved to create as legible and readable a product as we could, because there's only so much room to work with on the map. So the size of the map is 39 inches by 27 inches. We set that at a 1 in 775,000 scale, which is to make sure that our fonts are small enough to fit on the map, but big enough to read. So then, in order to work with all of these labels and all of the data, we actually need to zoom down in on the map fairly close. So usually around a 200% zoom, so that we can move each of these labels and know that it'll be legible when the map is printed out. So we actually went to great efforts to make sure that this map would be as close to 508 compliant as possible. So ESRI, that designs the software, they have what they call colorblind friendly color palettes. And we did have a couple of colorblind people actually proof the map to give us an idea of how well we did. And the interesting thing is you can use colorblind safe colors, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a colorblind safe map. I think that's been the great thing about this map, is that every color that is in this map is considered colorblind safe, to where we just tried to create as much contrast between each of the data sets. You'll notice Henry County is brown, and the color of the county border matches what the label is. The insets are a little bit different of a beast from the main map, quite a bit more colorful. We've got a lot more of the suburban areas. The city limits are worked in here. We have brought in the airports, the polygon landing strips for the airports that just kind of make the map pop a little better. And we included exit numbers to try and make navigating with the inset that much easier. There were a few times where we had to discuss changes between the last map and this map. And that can be really difficult, because when the public sees the state highway map, they expect to see those elements, some of that same data on the next map, and don't really expect changes. With the 2020 census having just occurred, along with any other changes that happen in day-to-day life, there will be changes to the data that goes into the state highway map. And so there's going to be some different towns on this map that maybe weren't on the last map, and there's going to be some towns that have been removed from the last map. It's just really interesting that dynamic of trying to figure out what is justifiably put on this map, and how we can back that up. So the Office of Administration Document Solutions, we have to get a waiver from them. They are not able to do the state highway map print process. We need a folded map. We need to produce a great number of maps, and OA is not able to do that. So we need, after we get a waiver from them, we start the request for purchase process, where we bid out what we're looking for with the dimensions of the map, the folds, the quality of the paper, based on vendor responses to that bid. We will select the vendor that we feel will be best able to complete the state highway map for Missouri. The vendor that we chose was the same vendor that printed the 2022 map for us. So we wanted to make sure this time that there was no white space border around the map. That was one of the things that we did not like from the 2022 map. So when you see the printed out version, you'll notice that the map runs all the way to the edge. And we just think that's a cleaner, more professional looking product. There were 675,000 maps printed this first go around, and we will have a second round of 675,000 probably within the next year or two. I think it was a learning experience, to be honest. When I applied for my GIS specialist job with MoDOT, I wanted to be involved with the state highway map. I had seen it many times before. Me being a mapper, I love maps. So I have numerous versions of the state highway map up on my walls at home. And when I applied for this position, I thought it would be a great experience to work on this map. It was a huge project, and it took a long time.